Harry's Wife, part 102.98, Uvalde Playground. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. You know, in parts passim, I analysed the event itself and also video footage where Harry's wife turned up like the ghoul that she is, flying in by private jet to wander around at the memorial that had been set up for those who had been murdered in the Uvalde massacre. I also, in parts passim, detailed further the revelations about the fact that she attempted to turn up at a hospital and that she also just offered vending machine sandwiches, not the supposed smorgasbord of delicious food that was referred to in earlier puff pieces associated with her. She was repeatedly, roundly, and properly criticised for her conduct in turning up at Uvalde. I explained, of course, that her narcissism goes, "Ooh, tragedy, I better make an appearance. That'll make me look caring. That'll make me look like I'm kind. And we can also get the residual benefit of getting some Netflix footage filmed as well." Her narcissism doesn't care about the fact that other people will criticise her. It doesn't care about the fact that people will see that it's a transparent act, devoid of emotional empathy. Her narcissism, because of the way that her narcissism functions, just simply thinks, good, we can assert control over people by appearing to care. That'll give us fuel as people react to it. There'll be some haters, there always are, but fuck them. That doesn't matter, it's still fuel nevertheless. And this will help us manage the facade and also deliver on content for which we need to merch that for the dollars. Of course, as always with Harry's wife, because of the nature of her mid-range narcissism, there's the collateral consequence. She was roundly criticised, lambasted, lampooned, in fact despised and reviled as a consequence of her ghoul-like behaviour. There then came the further revelations, as I've just mentioned, about turning up at the hospital, turning up at the school, trying to off the vending machine sandwiches and pass them off as something else. Her narcissism, of course, has now jettisoned all of that. It was in the past. But then when there's another opportunity to apparently make her look good, her narcissism springs into life with news through the Mirror newspaper. Harry and Harry's Wife's Foundation builds playground to honour lives lost in mass shooting. Now, those of you that are eruditely listening to me, what's your immediate reaction to that? Is it, one, oh, that's really good of her to do that after what she'd done previously. It's the least that she can do, and that's really jolly decent of her to ensure that some of her money's spent to provide something, to contribute something with regard to those who lost their lives and something for the future, for future children to use? Or is it two, fuck me, she just doesn't stop, does she? Not only did she disgrace herself by turning up in Uvalde, she can't help herself but keep going, can she? She might as well be pissing on the graves of those children. I suspect many of you listening would have reacted with two. And this is demonstrative of the way that her narcissism works. It is very good at getting control in the moment and drawing fuel, getting character traits and residual benefits, as I've explained many, many times. But what it does, it doesn't learn. It doesn't learn from past fuck-ups. It doesn't learn from past disasters. It doesn't learn from previous embarrassments. And it propels her to commit similar atrocious acts and behaviours which roundly draw criticism. And with the Uvalde, if her narcissism was more evolved, of course she wouldn't have gone there in the first place. But even within her mid-range ranking, an upper mid-ranger might think, no, too much problems caused last time, not going to go back to that one. Or at least would listen to the advice of advisors who would state, I don't think this is a good idea. We copped a lot of flack for turning up at Uvalde. Nice idea, intentions were right, but it just didn't sit well with the majority of people. So let's not draw attention to that by doing something else related to Uvalde. Let's go and do something else. And a more evolved narcissist, if they'd made the fuck up in the first place, upper mid-range for example, would go along with that advice, but not Harry's wife. Even if somebody dared to point out to her, doing this isn't very sensible because it draws attention to what you did last time with Uvalde, she wouldn't listen. Because she always knows best. That's why there's such a high staff turnover. And that's why, for instance, Sunshine Sachs parted ways with her. She doesn't listen. She thinks that she is the fashion icon, the bananatarian, the politician, the person that has her finger on the pulse of the nation. She honestly believes, driven by her narcissism, that she understands people brilliantly and that what they need. And that anybody that says to the contrary is just a hater, a racist, a misogynist, an awful human being. And this is why, again and again and again, she keeps making these mistakes. But what does the article tell us? Prince Harry and Harry's wife's foundation has built a playground in Uvalde, Texas, 4 months after a mass shooting that killed 19 children and 2 teachers. The Archwell Foundation joined forces with other charities, so it's not even them on their own, to launch the De Leon project, so it just demonstrates that there's something already going on and they've attached their name to it, probably chucking in a bit of money donated by other people. To provide a sense of hope after 18-year-old Salvador Ramos went on a rampage at Robb Elementary School in May. Shortly after the shooting, the Duchess of Sussex went to Uvalde, see parts pass him, where she laid flowers down for the victims of the shooting. Along comes the lieutenant. The improbably named Omid Scobie tweeted a photo of the new park and wrote that the project was to foster a sense of togetherness and healing and honour lives lost. He shared a photo of children using the new playground and quoted James Holt, director of the Archwell Foundation, who said, "Our hope is that this special project can help the community heal and be home to imagination, games and play for many years to come." The Archwell Foundation, the City of Uvalde and non-profit Kaboom were the 3 organisations that came together to build the playground. If Harry's wife had been properly advised, my observation is this, that they could have donated and just kept it quiet because of the heat that came from her involvement in Uvalde previously, but we all know that's not the way of Harry's wife. If she picks her nose, the world needs to know about it. If she makes a bolognese, the world needs to know about it. If she plays Wordle, the world needs to know about it. Following the shooting, the article continues, that horrified the nation, Harry's wife visited the town where she laid flowers at the memorial site. The Duchess of Sussex was pictured by the tributes outside Uvalde County Court House, not far from Robb Elementary School. A spokesman for the Duchess said she went to the scene of the Texas school shooting in Uvalde in a personal capacity as a mother, as she wanted to offer her condolences and support in person, although, of course, as I noted, she couldn't be asked to go to Buffalo. Harry's wife's appearance in the small community roughly 80 miles west of San Antonio was unannounced and came as a surprise to the grieving town, one way of describing it. She was dressed incognito in a simple T-shirt, jeans and baseball cap, although pursued and followed around by various photographers and a film crew. The memorial overlooking a pond consists of a series of crosses with tags bearing the names of those who were killed. The Uvalde shooting is the deadliest attack of its kind since 20 elementary-aged children and 6 staff were killed at the Sandy Hook School in Newtown, Connecticut, in 2012. And, of course, this just resurrects the behaviour and demonstrates that it's all, again, about the facade. But what do people say below the line? Torn knee howl. Could it be that Harry's wife and Truss are one of the same, both are total losers of the lowest order? Hildegard's. It seems that a sugar might have wandered in. We need lots more people in the world like the Duchess of Sussex. Both her and Harry have marvellous records when it comes to using their celebrity to help others less fortunate than themselves. Harry's wife, of course, long before she ever became famous. The response to that from someone called Afranchimar, which Harry's wife and Harry are you talking about? Because the overseas don't spend any money helping anybody. The grifters only add their non-profits as sponsors of the real non-profits, organisations that donate to others to better their lives and communities. The overseas incorporated the Laundry, their non-profit organisation in Delaware, which allows the non-profits to retain 95% of the donated money for themselves, and it's reported that Archwell only had 50,000 in donations in 2020. Too much false narrative about their philanthropist works. Torn Knee Howl adds, they do wield influence of a sort. Unfortunately for them, it is a very negative influence. Torn Knee Howl, a small token to the children of this shattered community that is obviously designed to raise the profile of Harry and Harry's wife. The new PR team must have been told to carry on using Omid Scabie's dynamic skill set. Remarkable. Wonder how many near-end date sandwiches and Starbucks were donated to playground builders. Can't be much left of the $50,000 that was raised by Archwell last year. BazRed1. Omid Scobie tweeted a photo of the new park, trying to keep the duo in the news. The city of Uvalde and non-profit Kaboom hardly get a mention, but of course they wouldn't, would they? G. Misleading headlines as usual. Archwell Foundation and other charities and City Council collectively built the playground. It'll be interesting to see how much Archwell contributed when their accounts are published. And of course, as always, people see through them, bar the odd sugar that wanders into the comments section. But this is demonstrative of, once again, it's done for facade management. It's done to assert control and draw fuel. But it also is a very good example of how a narcissism just simply doesn't learn from previous fuck-ups. And that's why she's very much mid-range. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.